Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back. Today's Daf Yomi is Kesubos Lamed. We are holding 6 lines from the top Amar of Chisda. Let's do a brief recap of yesterday's Daf. Starting from the beginning of the parak, we discussed a situation of an involvement with a Nara, an inappropriate involvement by way of oines, forced involvement, mifate, coercion, seduction, and the halacha is we apply all types of fines and penalties, payments, and actually he has to follow through and marry her. The Mishnah tells us this halacha, this obligation to pay a fine, which is 50 shekel, applies even in the following instances, even if either she's not even suitable to marry him. She's chayavi lavin. He's a lav if he marries her. Still, so although he can't actually marry her, follow through and fulfill the entire process, which is meant to be fulfilled by an oines or mafata. So even though he can't marry her, can't accommodate her, but he has to pay that fine. So even though she's usher to him, pay the fine. Not only an Isser Lav, but even an Isser Karas, a relative, a sister, an aunt. So this involvement with her generates Isser Karas. You would think, okay, he gets Misa, he's put to death, that absolves him from any monetary obligations. The answer is no. That's the opinion of the Tana in our Mishnah, which is in dispute with other Tanaim. We had Shimon HaTimni, who says, well, the Chiyuv, Knas, the monetary obligation only applies if this Isha is an Isha with whom he can theoretically activate Kiddushin. It can be Mekadesher. Rabbi Shimon Menashe holds it only applies to an Isha which is Ru'uya L'Kaima, somebody who's suitable for him, somebody who he's meant to be Mekayim, who can live with her properly. So even though, let's say, Kiddushin can be activated, but if she's not really Ru'uya to him, there's an Isser in him living with her, then the whole entire concept of Knas does not apply. We discussed the difference between the two shittas. Says Rav Chizda today, Amar Rav Chizda, Hakol Moedim, all agree. Whether it's this shita or that shita, all agree, Bebala Nida, if a fellow interacts with an Isha who is in a state of Nida at this point, so we're speaking again about an Oines or Mafata. So even though this involvement generates Isser Kares, Shem Shalom Knas, he has to pay up. Why? Lamanda Amar Yesh Bahavaya. According to the opinion of Shimon HaTimni, that Knas is dependent upon a theoretical activation of Kiddushin with this Isha. Yesh Bahavaya. Hanami Yesh Bahavaya. Anida has Kiddushin. If one is Mekadesh, an Isha, while she is a Nida, she's Mekudeshes, as the Gemara in Yivamas discusses. So that certainly works. Lamanda Omar, Ru'uya L'Kaima, according to the other Shita, Rabbi Shimon ben Menashe, that Knas is dependent upon Ru'uya L'Kaima, as she's mutter to him. If he should marry her, she would be mutter to him. Hanami Ru'uya L'Kaima, here as well. One can stay married to an Isha who's a Nida. Right? So, an Isha Nida conforms to both qualifications, both requirements, in which case all agree that an Oines and a Mefat of an Isha Nida would pay a Knas. Now this entire Mishnah of ours, which works with the precept, the Mishnah which maintains that Knas applies even to a situation where there is Kares as a result of this involvement. And we don't say, well, he gets penalized, he gets killed. It's a heavenly death penalty, kares. That sort of absolves him of any monetary obligations, which is actually a concept that we do apply many times. It's called kimle b'duramamine. We give him the more severe penalty. That only applies when we are speaking about penalties applied via a bezdin down here on earth. So we give them the more severe punishment. We apply death and we absolve him of payments. But when it comes to an erva, which generates kares, that's different. There is no kimlei b'draba minei. Rather, he must pay up. So this opinion is ula fuke. Rabbi Yehuda ben Akana is choylek, in dispute with the other shita of Nechunya, who maintains that this concept of giving him the more severe punishment and absolving him of the lighter punishment, he gets death but is pater from payment, applies even by kares. The Sun Jun. Rabbi Yehuda ben Akana es Yom Kippurim Kesubos l'tashlumin. He would treat an offense committed on Yom Kippur, which generates kares, just like an offense, just like an avera committed on Shabbos, with respect to chiv tashlumin. Ma Shabbos meschayev benafshay. Just like if a person does an avera on Shabbos, he burns up the other fellow's granary. He did a malacha, made a fire on Shabbos, and at the same time, he damaged the other fellow's goods. If this takes place on Shabbos, he is meschayev benafshay. He is due the death penalty, upater benat tashlumin, and therefore he's absolved many monetary obligations. That's the way it works. You get the most severe one, and you're pater from the other one. Af Yom Kippurim, likewise, if this should occur on Yom Kippur, there's a chiv kares. The difference between kares and misas bezin, big difference. This is bidei shemayim. But we compare the two, and we say, Af Yom Kippurim is chayiv benafshoy, upater benat tashlumin. So according to this opinion, back to our Mishnah, if he commits this offense with a nara, who is his sister, his aunt, and there is kares as a result of this improper interaction, he gets kares and pater from anything else. My time, Rabbi Yehuda ben Akana. What's the pshat? Why would you compare? Why would you equate kares to misas bezin? Amar Abaye, nemar osain bidei adam. You know why? Because we find the term osain, a tragedy, pertaining to a man-made situation. We find the pasuk speaks about a fellow who's fighting near an expectant woman, and he causes her to miscarry. The pasuk says, "V'lo yeh osain, onosh onosh." If there's no tragedy, meaning he is not chayav misa because it was inadvertent, it was by mistake, unintended. There's no osain. Bezdin will not kill this fellow. Therefore, he has to pay. The pasuk says he has to pay the value of the unborn child, and again, that's only because he doesn't get misa. So nemar osain b'dei adam. We find the term osain pertaining to a man-made situation. V'nemar osain b'dei shemayim. And we find the term osain by natural phenomenon as well. So osain b'dei adam was what we spoke about before. V'lo yeh osain, there was no misa applied by bezdin. That's an osain b'dei adam. And the other pasuk is by Yaakov Avinu. He told the Shvatim, no, I will not send down Binyamin. Look what happened to his brother. Look what happened. Ukra'o asain. I'm concerned that he might encounter tragedy. A mishap might occur on this journey. So this asain is b'dei shamayim, some sort of natural phenomenon, natural mishap. V'nemar asain b'dei shamayim. And we connect the two asains. Ma asain ha'omar b'dei adam pater benat tashlumin, just like the asain which is generated by Adam, i.e. chiv misa applied through bezdin, exempts a person from payment. So he did an avera which entails two offenses. One aspect is misa, one generates a chiv tashlumin. He gets the misa, not the tashlumin. Av asain ha'omar b'dei shamayim, likewise. If he's involved in an avera which has two elements, one which generates misa from shamayim, i.e. kares. Number two, it generates a chiv mammon, such as burning his friend's granary on Yom Kippur. He gets kares for the malacha, and mammon he's chayiv because of the damage he did. Here as well, we apply the concept of kimlei. He holds on to the greater one, but the rabba minei. He gets the greater, penalty, the most strict einish, and he's pater from the rest. Pater menat tashlumin, and therefore he's pater from payment. And likewise in our Mishnah, elu na'aretz she'esh lahem knas. If a fellow had a forced interaction with a nara, in a manner where that interaction creates kares, he gets kares and nothing else. Maskefler of Adabar Av. I have a kasha on your drasha. Yaakov Avinu spoke about Asan b'dei Shammai. Who says? How do you know that when Yaakov, warned his children, was alluding to some sort of potential tragedy on the road, it was regarding a natural phenomenon. Al tzinem upachem, cold and heat, which generates sickness. Libidei shamayim ninu, which are certainly heavenly phenomena. Weather-related difficulties and complications, nothing to do with the bidei adam. How do you know that's what he's referring to, and that's what he's concerned about? In which case, you're learning that the word asan is referring to something bidei shamayim. Dilma, perhaps al arya veganvi, the bidei adam ninu. Perhaps Yaakov Avinu was actually concerned about man-made or creature-made mishaps, lions, thieves they might encounter on the road. So perhaps the word asan is alluding to a man-made or creature-made situation. Now, why? Why would we even think that Yaakov Avinu was only concerned about man-made situations? So some Farshim offer beautiful pshat. Natural phenomena, weather-related complications. I've betached in Hashem, but in terms of difficulties, challenges presented by human beings or creatures, now you need extra protection from Hashem, because remember, a person has bechira. So placing Binyamin at the mercy of a ganav. True, Hashem controls the world. Hashem dictates everything that happens. Nobody could harm anybody or kill anybody if it not for the word of Hashem dictating it and empowering that person to do so. But at the end of the day, since Hashem does empower us, human beings, with the ability to be boicha, to choose, we have free will. So inevitably, when a person is placed in the hands, he's placed under control of a person, of a Baal Bechira, he must have special heavenly assistance. He must have special siyata d'shmaya to be spared, to be protected from that person's Bechira. So perhaps that's what Yaakov Avinu was concerned about. Things which are man-made. Answers the Gemara, no. Atu Yaakov aha azar? Do you think Yaakov only instructed them and warned them and alluded to difficulties presented by lions and thieves only? Aholoi azar, but not concerning heavenly and natural phenomena? Actually, Yaakov al kol mili azar. He was warning them about everything. So the word asan, mentioned by Yaakov Avinu, was alluding to things which are bidei shamayim as well. And that confirms our drasha. Now the Gemara will just pick up on the term that we just mentioned. Tzinim upachem. Tzina is cold weather, which can generate colds and sicknesses, and pachem is heat-related difficulties that could create fever and sicknesses. So these tzinim upachem, the Gemara refer to as things which are bidei shamayim. Asks the Gemara, is that so? It's just like a side point. Do you mean to say that these complications, heat and cold related complications, are related to shamayim? They're not generated by man. But Tanya, we have a brisa, hakol bidei shamayim. Everything comes from Hashem. Chutz mitzinim pachem, except for cold and heat related illnesses. Shanamar tzinim pachem. These things are b'derech ikesh, are found on the pathway of a stubborn person who fails to safeguard and take safety precautions to protect himself from these elements. In fact, a person who's conscientious about guarding himself will distance himself from heat and cold. It's something which is in your ability to do. So Rashi says, 3 lines from the bottom, Bidei shamayim im boim pur oniyos ala adam gzeras hamelachu. So typically, any sort of difficulty and tragedy is gzeras hamelach, dictated by Hashem, except chutz mitzinim pachem shepa'amim. Here's a key word in Rashi. It's not absolute, but sometimes sheboin b'pshia is generated by way of neglect. When a person neglects to keep himself warm during cold weather or cold during warm weather. Tesis learns that it's absolute, that tzinim apachim are totally in the hands of a person. In any case, why do we label tzinim apachim as bidei shamayim when here we learn just the opposite? If anything, it's more likely to have been brought about by our personal neglect. Next kasha, vasu. On the other side of the equation, you have aryeh v'ganvi, lions, thieves, inflicting harm. Bidei adam ninu, they're considered bidei adam, which almost sounds like it's not being dictated by Hashem, or it's primarily generated by the power of man and creatures. Rashi says, Shalom Gzeras Melech. Really? Actually, it's not so. In fact, as we're going to see, every mishap, chas v'shalom, that occurs, even by way of a creature or man, is not only dictated by Hashem, but it's actually tailor-made specifically by Hashem for this situation. It matches the offense, the avera that a person may have done. It's tit for tat. It's midah keneged midah. You better believe it's from Hashem. From the time of the Churban Habayis, Sanhedrin, even though we no longer have the Sanhedrin, who apply the various forms of death penalties, still, arba misas lebatul, those 4 forms of misa have not ceased to exist. Asks the Gemara, loy batul, you mean they were not batul? Sure they were. How batul? We no longer have them. Ella, rather, he means like this. The concept, the idea. Din arba misas le batul. In concept, the 4 misas are still around. And Rashi explains on top, din dal misas oynesh dugmasam. Hashem will apply a punishment which is reminiscent of these 4 different types, which will be applied and to match the avera which is meant to be deserving of this type of retribution. And then we'll give some examples. Mishin is chayiv skila, a person who is guilty of skila, where they would throw him off the building. So what happens to him nowadays? Chas v'shalom oynefil min hagag oychayder sasa. He can fall off a roof, or an animal, a lion, will knock him over and attack him, which is similar in nature to the skila. A person's guilty of burning, end up in a fire, or bitten by a snake where the venom would burn him up. He's meant to be killed by way of sword. Either he'll be given over to the authorities who kill him in that manner, or robbers will attack him in that manner. A person is guilty of chenek, of death by way of choking, either by way of drowning, or srunchi might come upon him, which is a throat-related illness reminiscent of chenek. Bottom line is, lions, ganavim, are heavenly sent and tailor-made for that specific situation. Ella efoch, actually, right, let's just switch around the entire formula. True lions, animals, ganavim are sent by Hashem. And actually, heat and cold related illnesses are generated by man. Okay, bottom line is, let's go back to the sugya. We have Rabbi Yehuda ben Akana who tells us that not only when we have a misas bezn applied to a fellow do we absolve him of monetary payments, kimle b'derabba minei, but even when it comes to kares, something which is bidei shamayim, we apply the same concept of kimle b'derabba minei. He's patur from any monetary payments that may have sort of accompanied the avera that generated kares. So whose shita is this? This is Rabbi Yehuda ben Akana. And what is the reason behind this shita? Abai explained. We have the asaim b'dei adam, asaim b'dei shamayim, and just like b'dei adam has this halacha, misa b'dei shamayim as well. Rava Amar, I'll give you another reason. Time of Rabbi Yehuda ben Akana mihacha. This is the reason for Rabbi Yehuda's shita, that when there is kares b'dei shamayim, there is a patur of tashlumin. V'ma'alim yalimu hama'aretz eseneya minashahu b'tzita mizar l'maylech. This is a fellow who's engaged in moylech, a form of avodah zarah. If the nation, if the bezdin will just turn a blind eye and not punish him by way of misas bezdin, of which he is deserving, they don't do that, Hashem will step in, so to speak. V'samti aniyas panay b'ishahu v'mishpachtoi. Hashem says, I will address his situation, and I will apply kares. Kares, by the way, is more severe than Misa, Bidei Shemayim. Rashi says, Kares is where his children are affected as well, they pass away. So, here the Torah is sort of comparing. If you don't do Misa, I will do Kares. So we make a connection. We put them both on the same plane. Umbra Torah. By way of this expression, the Torah is teaching us, Kares shali kimisa shalachem. My Kares is comparable to your, meaning the Bezdin's Misa. Kimisa shalachem. In which way? Ma Misa shalachem poter men tashlumen. Just like when you apply Misa to a fellow, that absolves him from tashlumen. Af Kares shali poter men tashlumen. Likewise, my Kares absolves him from any monetary payments. It's sort of all included in the Kares. That explains the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda ben Akana, that if a person commits an Avera, which contains two elements, a Misa b'dei Shemayim, a Kares element, and also a Tashlumen element, he gets the most severe punishment and potter from Tashlumen. So we have Abaye, who learned this halacha from Asain, right? We compare the Asain b'dei Shemayim to Asain b'dei Adam. Death by Shemayim is comparable to death by Adam concerning Patur Tashlumen. We have Rava who says, well, here the Torah is comparing Misa of the Bezdin to Kares. So we see that Kares has the same halacha regarding Patur Tashlumen. Is there any difference between the two sources? Yes, there is. My Ika bein Rava la'Abayir. Any difference between Rava's approach and Abaye's approach? The difference is that Rava was working with comparing Kares to Misa's Bezdin. Abaye went a step further. He said, any sort of Osan b'dei Shemayim, death by way of heaven, is comparable to death by way of Bezdin. Death by way of heaven can include two aspects, Kares and Misa b'dei Shemayim, as we just explained in the name of Rashi. Misa b'dei Shemayim is where he's put to death by heaven, but his children are not affected, whereas Kares carries that added measure of severity. His children are affected as well. His children die out. So that will be the difference between Abaye and Rava. In a case where there is no Kares, just Misa b'dei Shemayim. According to Rava, this concept of Kares absolving you of Tashlumen only applies to Kares. After all, the pasuk he was alluding to mentioned Kares, whereas Abaye gave a general formula. Any sort of Misa b'dei Shemayim, be it plain Misa b'dei Shemayim, be it Kares, carries this element within it, that it absolves you of Tashlumen. Now, the difference will be Zor shachal truma, a non-kohen consumed truma, for which he is chayav misa b'dei Shemayim. But along with the chayav misa, remember, he stole truma. There was choshe mishpat involved as well. There's a monetary claim on him. He's chayav misa and chayav tashlumen. What happens now? So that will be the nafkamina. La Abaye potter. According to Abaye, he gets misa b'dei Shemayim. He's potter from payment. Ula Rava chayav. But according to Rava, this is not kares, and therefore he's chayav to pay for the truma that he ate. He has to pay up to pay the kohen back for the truma. Asks the Gemara, 1 second. Ula Abaye potter. How can you tell me that according to Abaye, because he committed a sin which contains two elements, misa as well as chiyat tashlumen, one takes care of the other, so to speak? That certainly would work if both liabilities occur simultaneously. Right? You do one thing. Let's say the example we mentioned earlier. He walks over to his next door neighbor's field and burns up his granary on Yom Kippur or on Shabbos. He's doing one maaseh, one act, with two simultaneous results. One resulting in one aspect generates chiyuv kares, and one aspect is chiyuv mammon. But in this case, how did he go about eating the kohen's truma? He must have stolen it. So first he picked it up, stole it. Boom! Right now he's chayiv to pay for the truma before he even can think of eating it, before he even gets close to Isra Misa. So sequentially, he was first chayiv tashlumen before he got involved in Isra Misa, and then he ate it, which generates Isra Misa. Unrelated, unconnected, two separate acts. Why would we bundle them together? Why would the Misa generated by his eating be paiter him from tashlumin, which occurred 10 hours earlier. Will Abaye pater? He's pater from payment. V'amar Rav Chisda. Didn't Rav Chisda tell us? Even Rav Chunya, who says that a kares absolves you of payment, or Misa B'dei Shemayim absolves you of payments, but he is moed in the following case, where it did not occur at the same moment. Begoinev chalbe shel chaver, he steals his next door neighbor's chaylev, right? The fat of the animal, for which he is chayiv, he would be chayiv kares upon eating it, right? So first he steals it. He's chayiv to pay for it. Then va'achla, then he decides to eat it. Shu chayiv, certainly has to pay up. Why? Isn't he getting kares? The answer is yes. Kares for eating it, but pay up for stealing it. As soon as he stole, that triggers the chiyuv of tashlumin. Way before, he actually ate the chaylev and gets kares. Almo, apparently, the meidna da agbe kanye, because he was kinda, he acquired it the moment he picked it up. So he did one thing wrong right there. That triggers the monetary obligation. But the actual chiyuv nefesh, meaning the chiyuv misa, only arrives way later. I hadn't arrived until he actually ate it. It's unconnected, unrelated. One doesn't affect the other. Hachanami here as well, when he ate the kohen's truma, bidna da agbe kanye. As soon as he picked up, he acquired it. At that point, he's chayiv to pay. Stop right there. Then number two was eating it. When is he chayiv misa? When he eats it. That occurred way later. Why would the misa absolve him of his payments? So we'll find a case. Let's try to discover a case. Let's craft a case where it happens at the same very moment. Here we go. What are we looking for? We're looking for a fellow who's actually eating and stealing at the same time, so to speak. Kasha was he stole and then ate later. No. The masa geneva, the masa mazik, whatever you want to call it, occurs at the very same moment of consumption, in which case now we have kimle b'derabba minei. Now we have a chiyuv misa arriving at the very same instance as a chiyuv moment, in which case the misa would override the moment and make him pater. Let's try to figure this out. What happened was, Reuben picks up this kain and sort of inserts Reuben picks up not the kain, Reuben picks up the truma. Reuben picked up the truma, okay? Took the truma and inserted it into Shimon, his friend's, mouth. So the question was, well, Shimon picked it up and was chayiv and genei. No, he never picked it up. Shimon never had any contact with the truma until it was put into his mouth. So now, when is he chayiv? He's chayiv when he's eating it, right? The masa achila becomes the masa geneva as well. So here we go, that the chiyuv misa occurs at the same moment as the masa geneva, and therefore the misa overrides the chiyuv tashlum. Asks the Gemara, 1 second. But even this is a two-phase process. Soif kiven the lasik kanye. Ultimately, as soon as he starts chewing, at that point he's kaina, he's stealing. Even before he actually swallowed and actually consumed the truma. There was a step before that, chewing. That's masa geneva. Now he's stealing. Even before he's eating. Mischai b'nafshali havi adebalo. Misa only arrives when he consumes, when he swallows it down. So back to the kasha. It's a two-step process. It's not misa and tashlum at the same time. First came tashlumin, by way of chewing, by way of destroying, by way of stealing. And then consumption, swallowing. That generates the misa. Oh, let's find another case. Reuben did a better job than that. He actually put it straight into his throat. So now, he had no choice. He just went on and swallowed it. Right? So there was no chewing, there was no activity prior to actually consuming it. Asks the Gemara, 1 second. Let's break it down even further. Hey, what are we speaking about? Can Shimon actually retrieve it? Can he extract it? Can he get it out of his throat? If he can, nihadr, then he should do it. And if he doesn't do it, he's a mazik. At that point, he's stealing. Right? If he can get it back out, then at that moment he's chayiv for stealing. And then, when he actually swallows it down, he's doing the masa achila, which generates the chiyuv misa. So again, it's not simultaneous. It's a two-phase process. Iloi motzi ladura, and let's say he can no longer, retrieve it. It's too far down. He can't get it back out. Then we have a bigger kasha. Amai chayiv? Why at all is he held accountable? Rashi says, Amai chayiv misa onusu. You don't get a bigger onus than that. A fellow stuffs something down his throat. What are you going to do about it? So he's totally putter anyway. The whole thing is not relevant. Oh, okay. Let's try to figure this out. Apparently, he was speaking the matzil adura de atchak. So Reuven put something into his throat, into his beis abliya, right, into his actual throat. The matzil adura de atchak, but Shimon can still sort of retrieve it with difficulty. And Rashi explains, even if he can successfully retrieve it, it's not going to look too good anymore. It's kind of spoiled. So in that case, he's no longer stealing. Right? There's nothing to steal. It's been spoiled by the fellow who tucked it into his throat. Reuven is the one who stole, right? So there's no ma'aseh gzeila at this point, because even if he does manage to retrieve it, it's not worth much. It's spoiled. Rashi says it's mos lechazi lebalim. The owner has nothing from it, right? So at that point he's absolved. He's put. He hadn't done anything. Oh, what? Yes, he swallowed it. At the end of the day, he did swallow it. He shouldn't have swallowed it. He should have pulled it out. He should have made that extra effort to pull it out. He chose to swallow it. So he made bechira, right, to eat this truma. And he enjoyed it. He had enough from it. That enjoyment obligates payment. That's a chiddush. Interesting concept. The thing isn't worth much. It's worth something, but it isn't worth much. And technically, once it's sitting there, even if he can pull it out, keeping it in there is not called a gazlan. That's what Rashi says. But the fact is, when he swallows, he enjoys. The fact that he enjoys sort of reactivates a chiyuv mammon. A deep concept, because his enjoyment sort of gives the massive value. We consider as though he took something from the other fellow. And now, he's also eating truma at the same time. So here we go. He's stealing and eating truma at the same time. He's doing a avera ben adam l'chaveri and a ben adam l'amakim at the same time. A chiyuv mammon to his friend on account of the truma that he's enjoying, that he's swallowing, and also chiyuv to Hashem because he's a zar eating truma. So misa and mammon at the same time. Says Abaye, well, you get the more severe punishment. Kimle b'derabba mineh, you get the more severe punishment, and you pata from mammon. Okay. So we were successful. We found a case where, in fact, the chiyuv mammon and misa would occur simultaneously, and therefore he's pater from mammon. Papa Amar, I'll give you another example. Instead of food, it was a liquid. So Reuven poured some truma liquid into Shimon's mouth. And Rashi explains, skip the throat and all that. Very straightforward case. Once liquid hits his mouth, it's mos. It's not worth much. So again, when he goes and swallows it, he's enjoying his friend's possession, and he's eating the truma. So it's a simultaneous double offense. Rav Ashi Amar, Bezar Shachat Truma Mishaloi. Let's speak about the following case. An Ankoin happened to have access to truma before he separated truma. He didn't give it to the kohen yet, so it's still belonging to the Yisrael, right? And he goes and eats that truma. So I'm not speaking about stealing truma and eating it. He's eating truma that belongs to him. He's not allowed to eat it because he's a Yisrael, but he's not stealing the truma. So by doing so, he committed an isser which generates misa. At the same time, what did he do? V'kara shiroin shel chaveri. He tore apart a silk cloak that belonged to his friend. Says Rashi on top, V'kara shiroin b'shah sheboila. While he's swallowing the truma, he damages his friend's possession. Now, this is something unique because until now, we thought that it has to be this in the same maaseh. Says Rashi, no. V'afagav the misa lav mishum amoina the nizik asilei. So even though the chiv misa in this case has nothing to do with his friend's shirt, miftar he becomes potter. Why? Usrilei the Rav Ashi, because Rav Ashi holds, he takes the concept of kimle b'derabba minei a step further. He says misa lazeh v'tashlumin lazeh potter. Even if the chiv misa was on account of this action, and the tashlumin was on account of another act, the misa in this case is because he's eating truma, and payment on account of breaking the other guy's thing. But since it happens at the same moment, the misa overrides and he's potter from tashlum. So that's the third example of this idea of misa and tashlumin happening at the same time, in which case misa would overshadow tashlumin and he's potter from payment. The bottom line is, what did we learn today? We referred back to the Mishnah, which holds that even if a person interacts with a nar, whether it's chorus, a relative, a sister, etc., he still pays the knas. This is not like Rabbi Yehuda ben Akana, who disagrees. He holds, whenever we have a chiyuv, misa b'dei shemayim, he's potter from payment, just as this would apply to a chiyuv misa in bezdin. A person commits an avera which contains misa b'bezdin and tashlumin. Misa overshadows tashlumin. The same thing happens with misa b'dei shemayim. Now, according to Abaye, it applies to all types of misa b'dei shemayim, whether it's misa b'dei shemayim or kares. According to Rava, he learned from a pasuk which contains the word kares, it only applies to kares. So, according to Abaye, even if a zar was involved in eating truma, which generates misa b'dei shemayim, he would be absolved from tashlumin. How can we have a case where this would be applicable? We have three possibilities: where there's chiv, misa, and mammon, and the misa is paid to the mammon. All the best to you and Hatzlacha Rava.